Now let's look at the pull tracker in action. We have our throne route, and we are now running the Throne of Tides dungeon. As expected, the tank is pulling these groups into each other. As each mob dies, they turn red. The yellow tells us what the next pull group is going to be, and now that the tank has pulled this group, the next group turns yellow, and that continues to happen. So we see here, after we clear out all the mobs on this floor, we are going to the next area, which is up to Lady Nazjar. And the Ravager is last, almost dead. These low keys are pretty quick. And you can see behind the pull tracker window is Blizzard's objective frame, which you can hide using a slash command in the add-on. I have that macroed. Okay, now we are pulling the hallway. All these drudges activate pretty fast. And also die pretty fast. We see the next group is the invader and the two witches. And now the tank has pulled them along with the Ravager. So I built this route, which is why it says LOS pull. It's not the tank's route, obviously. But if this were the tank's route, then the tank would be using this doorway here to do the line of sight pulls. And the Ravagers, they're a bit beefy, but almost dead. And then you see the Snapdragons turned yellow because they were going to be the next group. And they pulled here as if they were linked. So if the tank's intention was to link those groups, they could do that in the route builder, and we would see that linkage here. So Throne of the Tides is a straightforward dungeon. But sometimes the add-on is not getting all the information that it needs, either because the tank is going off route or because there are certain game events that the add-on is not receiving. So you'll see that there's a skull icon and an X on each group, as well as each mob in the pull tracker. If you click the skull icon, it means we killed this mob. And if you click the X, it means we skipped this mob. And that's a way that you can nudge the pull tracker a bit to keep its bookkeeping intact. The only real difference between the skull and the X is the pull tracker, it keeps its own track of the force count, and it should always be matching what Blizzard's code is telling the add-on. So to keep that bookkeeping intact, you can click the skull icon to say, basically, yes, we collected this amount of forces. Or you can click the X to say, we skipped this. This does not count toward our force objective. And unfortunately, this was a group of 4 warriors, so we did not have Lust. But one of the nice things about the add-on in the pull tracker is when Lust is active, it will tell you. When Lust is on cooldown, it will tell you how long you have left on the sated debuff. And this boss is almost dead. And we are going back to the first floor now. So this was a clean run where the tank did every pull in the order I built into the route, and that was with no coordination, so I got really lucky on this particular run. But the pull tracker itself has some logic that will recognize when there are out of order pulls, and it will give you an indication of that. And move on to the Watcher. Pull the next group. That's another instance where the tank would link those two groups together in the route builder. I'm going to clear the Seers, and then the two Watchers are next. And then only the first two groups of minions. Well, technically one group. And then you'll notice for the boss that the pull tracker shows both Aeronok and Mindbender. And it's just a little nice little extra indication that there's two phases to this fight. And Aeronok's gone. But you notice we did not get a death event for Aeronok, so still green for now. But as soon as Mindbender is dead, that group is cleared.
I am weary. You must carry on without me.
And then we go to the
I
west
shall take my leave once my
path
strength has returned.
to Azamat. We cleared the first group, and we can see the next group down there. The unstable corruptions are not in the pull tracker or in the route when you build it, because they offer 0 force count, and they also continue to spawn. One of the early versions of this dungeon I put together, I put in some of the unstable corruptions just because there are a few that are already spawned, but it didn't feel useful or natural enough to include them, so I took them out completely. In a future version of the add-on, I might track how many of them were spawned, how many were killed, and that can provide useful information for how quickly a group is moving down this hallway. If too many spawn, then the group is moving too slow, but if they minimize the spawns, then they're moving at a good pace.
The beast has returned. It must not.
And then
pollute my
Azamat.
waters.
So just like Aeronok and Mindbender, we have the Ink of Azamat and Azamat
As I
itself
purify
here.
these waters, the servants of filth will surely be stirred. Beware. My waters are cleansed.
And as the
Regain their
dungeon
power.
comes to a close, we see that the timer bar is green.
Their filthy
That's
stains.
because we are in +3 territory. When you're in +2, it turns yellow. When you're in +1, it turns red. And then over time, it just goes black.
Behold the power
And we see that the
of
force
pure
count is
waters.
satisfied in the top right of the pull tracker. And that's our dungeon.